Well, repression breeds resistance and opposition. We saw several weeks ago millions of people assembling across the country to say no kings here. And we are certainly in a moment when people are opposing monarchy and police domination by Donald Trump. So the people in Washington, D.C. are 713,000 tax-paying, draftable American citizens who have no representation in Congress. The Democrats passed D.C. statehood in the House a couple Congresses ago.
See, this is what this is all about. He just told you. He let the cat out the bag. The Democrats, we passed D.C. statehood a long time ago, and the Senate wouldn't do anything about it. Exactly. That's what this whole thing and why they're all pissed off. I mentioned that to you guys a couple days ago. I'm like, this is what this is all about. And I said, President Trump is never going to allow D.C. to become a state. Because if it became a state, it would immediately become a Democrat. It would become a blue state, and they would get 2 more senators. Nope, not going to happen. This is a big reason why this is rolling out. And President Trump even said that. He said it during a press conference. Yeah, that too. It's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons. So he understands this territory needs to be claimed and to make sure it never, ever becomes a state. And that's been a prize that the Democrats have been trying to go after for quite some time. On the down low for the most part, not telling people, other than what Raskin is saying here. But a lot of people didn't know that the Democrats tried to basically seize control of Washington, D.C., and not just from a safety perspective, but from a political perspective.
Republicans have been opposing it categorically. Now Donald Trump wants to impose police ICE checkpoints all over D.C. And the freedom-loving people of Washington are not going to put up with that. What's going to happen?
So you're a senator who probably has a security detail, and you're speaking for the hood and saying the people of Washington, D.C. are not going to put up with this. As that came out of your mouth, do you realize what you're saying? What you're saying is the people of D.C. are not going to put up with safety. The people of D.C. would rather have chaos and drug lords and warlords. That's what you're saying. Why would people not put up with safety? Maybe some of the other senators who don't think anything's wrong, maybe the people in media studios, but why would the people not put up with it? And then if these people, quote, aren't going to put up with it, end quote, what do you expect them to do? Because like right now, he's in control. And there's only so many Subway sandwiches you can hit a cop with. So what are they going to do? Good luck protesting in Washington. They've got protests all over the country this weekend. All over the country, they've got protests. What are they going to be protesting all over the country for? Doesn't make any sense to you? You're going to be protesting because the federales have taken control of law enforcement. They didn't take control of the city. You can still go to a restaurant. You can still go to a movie. You can go to the park. Nobody's taking control of the people. They take control of law enforcement. And so when you break it down to that essence, you have to wonder why the Democrats are freaking out. Why is the media freaking out? The only thing they took control of was the police force and the way things are going to be handled. Don't do nothing, won't be nothing. It's very simple. Why would you be in an uproar? You can go anywhere you want. You can do all the stupid stuff you do. You can go dancing. You can go to restaurants. You can go to a movie. You can go play Frisbee in the park. Nobody's stopping you. You don't need papers. You can do whatever you want. Except wreak havoc. Except do this. So you have to wonder why the people in politics and the people in the media are having a problem with any of this. And it gets worse because now it's extending across the country.
What's after that? Chicago, LA, Miami, Boston.
Wait, you don't have to put Miami in there. We're good. We're good. DeSantis made sure everything was taken care of. It ain't like that down here. The other cities that you mentioned, Alec, yeah. Yes, we hope so. We hope he does take control of the law enforcement in New York City. I'm pretty sure a lot of the police officers in New York City are like, yeah, sounds good to me. I'm pretty sure Chicago people who live in those certain areas where every single weekend people are shot, yeah, they're pretty good about it too. What in the hell are you worried about it for? You're a gazillionaire up in New York City and you're not affected. See, this is one of those things right now where the liberals are really going to have a problem because the ivory tower people look stupid. Completely out of touch. As if you have no idea what it's like for poor people to live.
And on and on. What's after that? The NFL, the NBA, if you can federalize them, if they come over. All he wants to do is deflect from his inadequacy by these bold, insane moves.
Bold, insane moves to deflect from his inadequacy. He's the president of the United States, voted in by 70, 80 million people. The economy's flying. He's about to do a peace deal in Russia with Ukraine, and he's trying to distract from inefficiency. The only thing inefficient is your ability to handle a gun. I'm pretty sure you're someone who needs to be watched with a gun. And we've seen your temper. Is that what you're worried about, Alec?
Word. DC police. Yes, that's what I need. I don't need this DC police to be figured out.
All right, so I wanted to pause you there because I want you to hear what he said. I don't need this. Of course you don't. Of course you don't. But he's going to tell you what he does need. And it gives you a really good insight into the mind of liberals. Listen to what he does need and tell me, as he tells you what he needs, which one of the things he needs do you think most Americans even care about? I mean, care about into the form of it affects their daily lives. You see, the stuff going on in Washington and Baltimore and Detroit, it affects people's daily lives. Listen to what he cares about.
We need to get the tariffs over with. We need to get the war over with. We need to get the Gaza thing over with. And after that, we have something else we have to get over.
Notice he didn't say anything that affects people. We got to get the tariffs over with. Okay, why? You bringing in Chinese goods? We need to get the war over with. Well, he's working on that one that we're not in. And we're no longer funding. And we got to get Gaza fixed. I'm pretty sure that none of those are in the top 3 items of Americans. That's a perfect example of being completely out of touch. Most people want to know, how can I get a better rent? How can I reduce my mortgage payment? What are the price of gas? What are the prices of food? Am I safe? And he's so out of touch, he didn't mention any of the things that Americans actually want. And that's the problem with liberalism. They're completely out of touch, completely detached. They don't know what it is you want and how you want your life to live. I'm pretty sure if we had done a poll in the chat and said, give me the top 3 things you want in life right now. And how many of them would have said, yeah, I want to see the Gaza. No. I want to see Ukraine and Russia work it out. No. We may want that. I'm not saying Americans don't want to see peace in Gaza. I'm not saying Americans don't want to see peace in Ukraine and Russia. But I'm pretty sure it's a little bit closer to home what most people will check off the box as their top 3 items. Crazy.
President and the Attorney General of the United States have attempted an illegal, hostile takeover of our local police force, the Metropolitan Police Department. And in so doing, they have sowed chaos and endangered the public safety and the residents and visitors to the District of Columbia.
This is the guy who's suing the Trump administration. He filed the lawsuit this morning. He filed the lawsuit to say that the law enforcement takeover of Washington, D.C. is endangering people. He's the D.C. attorney, and on behalf of the DEI sheriff, chief of police, he walks on TV today and says he's endangering people in Washington. How? Please tell us how he's endangering people. So you want him to leave so that the endangerment goes away. But in actuality, what you're saying is you want him to leave so the endangerment comes back. Why are you guys fighting so hard to keep these people in D.C. under chaos? But this is the same guy who a couple of weeks ago put up a video, said, we can't arrest ourselves out of this mess. We can't prosecute our way out of this mess. Yeah, you can. You don't want to, for whatever reason. He continues.
Home Rule Act, which grants authority to the local government here in the District of Columbia, including to control the police, gives the president very limited authority to seek to have the assistance of the MPD and the mayor if there is a federal emergency that requires that. It does not give the president or the attorney general the authority to take over MPD and to purport to change the command and control and governance of MPD. That is exactly.
Want to bet? You want to make a bet? I would take that bet. I don't bet on a lot outside of poker because I actually get to, work my deal. But I would take that bet. If you think it doesn't allow that, let's go ahead, wager up. And don't tell me when you get some side-ass judge to say that you're going to have to put a temporary restraining order, because what are you going to do then? Imagine right now you're him. You're suing the Trump administration. You're suing the Trump administration, and you're telling people that we're going to make them leave so we can get back in control. You obviously haven't talked to anybody who's actually in Washington, D.C. That's the D.C. attorney, and he's telling people, we're going to sue President Trump and we want him to leave, without ever talking to the people actually in Washington, D.C.
What the president and the attorney general's order seek to do. And that is why we are in court this morning seeking to hold the federal government accountable to following the law. The Home Rule Act is a federal law passed by Congress. Nobody is above the law, including the president, and most importantly, our U.S. Attorney General. And as Chief Smith has said in the papers, in her nearly 30 years of enforcing the law, both as a federal law enforcement officer and as chief of police, she has never seen any action that causes more risk to the public safety than the actions of AG Bondi last night in her Bondi order of about 7:45 at night.
So understand what this guy just said is the DEI police chief, who didn't even know what a chain of command was. She's never seen X, Y, or Z in 30 years. Have you looked at her resume? She hadn't done anything. And she got fired. You obviously haven't talked to people in Washington. It wouldn't be hard if you just take a remote crew and go out and talk to the people in D.C. And I'm not talking about the people who live in Georgetown or $5 million townhouses. Go talk to the people who are actually affected by what's happening. It's not that hard. But they won't do it. And if they did, and they talked to people like this, they would actually find out what people actually think. So you're going to hear these people talk. And when you hear it go blank out like that's because these are people from the inner city, and they have colorful language. And so when they dropped F-bombs, I had to silence it so as not to offend you. Let's listen in.
In my neighborhood, I've lived around here for years, and it ain't been this quiet in forever. Y'all like, oh, the police ain't doing nothing. They just standing around doing nothing. What you expect them to do? I didn't want Trump to come to this city, but now he's here. Y'all the reason. Y'all just gave him a reason. I don't like that fool, but I ain't mad at this. I haven't.
I don't like that fool. I ain't playing down with Trump, but I like this. This is how that tent, I keep telling you, this is how we continue to enlarge the tent. When a woman like this, and she looks young, let's say I'm not a good gauge of age, but let's say she's 25-ish. And she's like, I have never seen this like it never forever. So if you're a child and you've grown up under siege, and now you're saying, hey man, this is okay. I'm okay with this. You tell me how you're going to turn it back. Unless you really don't give a crap about these people, which could be, the real reason.
Gunshots in like 4 or 5 days, and I usually hear them every night. The cops are all over this city, and if you don't see them doing anything, you know why? It's because the fools have gone into hiding. The minute that they leave and get off these streets, they're coming back out again. So I'm going to enjoy the peace while I can, because I'm not out here breaking the law. Y'all been in the street murdering kids. Y'all been in the street murdering innocent people. We gave the mayor a chance to do something, and the chief of police. Neither one of them did anything. Y'all want to
see, the people recognize that. Y'all had a chance. The mayor and the chief of police who've been around here for years, you didn't do anything. This guy shows up in 2 days, and I actually got to sleep well last night. Actually, I probably didn't sleep well. I was probably like, Joe Pesci and my cousin Vinny. It was too quiet. Like, what's all that quiet? I'm used to hearing helicopters and gunshots and people screaming, oh no, ouch, ooh. It's too quiet, man. What the heck just happened? And you want to tell these people, we're going to go back to the way it was. You seriously want to tell the people who live there that? That's what you want to tell them? Be shamed on yourself.
To put on a show, so y'all had something to put on social media. But y'all put them YNs on social media all the time.
Finally able to chill at a red light with my window down, not worried about if one of them youngsters is coming.
See, I think one of the problems that people, the masses, you, me, is that most of you cannot imagine such a simple pleasure. Just what she said right there. Most of us could never imagine that being an issue. So I want you to sit back and think, have you ever thought to yourself, I can't roll down my windows at a stoplight? Because if I roll my windows down at the stop, number one, ain't going to happen here because it's too damn hot. But imagine it's a nice fall day, wherever you are, breezy, sun's out, or in her instance, it's nighttime, stars are out, and you pull up to a light. And you've never been able to roll your windows down. Not only have you not been able to roll your windows down, you're doing this the whole time. You're scanning. Because out of the shadows, that's where they come from. And by the time you see some of them, it's too late. So I probably just relayed an experience that most of you have never, ever encountered. You probably are used to the other side of the coin, what she's not used to. You're used to driving down and hitting, the brakes at the stop sign, and you probably don't even have to look around. You're talking to your friend, you're changing the stations, you're on your phone, you're texting at the light. It doesn't even dawn on you, dude, look in the shadows. There's some creeping going on, and they're coming towards you. How many of you have to do that right now? How many of you even think about it? You're at a traffic light. I don't. Maybe if I see like the homeless person coming up looking for money, we all look around and make sure. But for other than that, you go to a stoplight, it's like, oh man, the light, this is the longest light ever. Oh yeah. This light, every time I get stopped at this light, honey, we're here for like, oh, you know what? I like this song. You're not paying attention. And so I'm saying this to try to put you in her shoes, put you in a position where what do you mean? It's the first time in a long time that I've even been able to, stop without worrying about people coming out. And that only stopped because Trump has made it this way. And because Trump has made it this way, you now want to go back to where I got to look around? I have to wonder? How many of you looked at stopping at a traffic sign, whether it be the light or the stop sign, as a matter of life and death? I can't even imagine living like that. So next time you hear one of these people on the studio saying it's not that bad, ask them, do they have to stop at a traffic signal and put their life in danger?
Ride through the city, feeling more safe than I ever felt.
Feeling safer than I've ever felt. And I'm like, my God, she's just out riding. This is a completely different experience for these people. I can't even relate. I'm like, wait a second. You're out there and better than you ever felt just stopping at a stop sign? Wow, just think about that.
I don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will. Why the f is people that's not from the city saying DC's not that bad? Why is it from Denver, Colorado saying DC's not that bad, and Trump is just...
I can't answer you, brother. That's a big problem. You don't live here, but you're going to go on television and tell me it ain't that bad. You don't live in the hood. You live in Georgetown. You live in some place where, it's $1 million homes. They don't creep there. And you're telling me, because you're seeing something on TV, the statistics say that it's not that bad anymore. Crime has been lowered. We heard Karen Bass and some of the people in California telling people there in the news that crime's not that bad. It's lower. Lower than what? But meanwhile, these people in the hood who you're not interviewing, they're saying a different story.
Trying to be a dictator. Gang, DC is fucking like Gotham City, bruh. Like, y'all do not know. Y'all out-of-towners, Mo. Mind y'all fucking business, bruh. 4 infants got killed in a month. This shootings every day. Carjackings every day. The city is fucking wild right now, bruh.
And I had to bleep out a lot because you're getting a raw sense of what these people are saying. Hey, man, this is some serious, it's life or death to go to the 7-Eleven. You put your life in your hands if you go out at night and stop at a traffic light. And the audacity of these people to sit around and go, it's not that bad. Crime is down. Well, these people seem to talk a different story.
And it might say it's the lowest that's ever been. That's because this is not getting caught. There's so much shit going on. Y'all don't even know, bro. I'm really recovering from getting shot in DC, gang.
There's your data. Dude, I'm recovering because I got shot. How many people have done that? Hey, have you gone to the hospital and have you interviewed some of the people in the hospital and go, hey, excuse me, you seem to have a hole in your leg. At least you're still breathing. So you're okay. But what happened? I got shot. Where? Walking down the street at a stoplight. Somebody had just put in the chat here, which is really, really interesting. Somebody goes, as much as some of these people love in talking about you need to keep the entitlements going, shouldn't safety be the number one entitlement? Shouldn't that be the number one thing that a president, a mayor, a governor, that's the number one thing that you should be providing for your people? Safety. That's it. Safety. That's what husbands have to do. We have to make sure that our loved ones are safe. It comes with the job. I will. You're going to make sure this woman who's with you is safe to the best of your ability. And you got people in the news saying, it ain't that bad, man. It's not that bad. What's wrong? What's wrong with you?
So for y'all out-of-towners to be like, DC's not that bad and this shit don't need to be done, y'all don't know shit, bruh. Like, for real, y'all don't know shit, bro. What Donald Trump is doing right now, getting the homeless off the street and putting all these law enforcement people in throughout DC, that shit needs to be done good. I'm tired of fucking Gotham City, gang. I'm tired of that shit, bro. I'm trying to go to U Street and not have to worry about running from fucking bullets, bro. I'm sick of that shit.
Okay, raise your hand if you have tried to go to U Street. I don't know where that is in Washington, and you have to run from bullets. Not something most of us have ever had to do. Like, say, man, I'm just go down here and get me like a soda. I might get me a Subway sub. I hear they're good weapons. Hey, pop, pop, pop. Nope. Not my life. Not in most of your lives, probably. Maybe when you were younger. But this is part of their life. You tell me how a 16 or 17-year-old kid in any city should be subjected to that, and that people should be okay with that. But yet, hearing from these kids, man, I can't even go to the store, I'm dodging bullets. It's heartbreaking. It's like you got an entire swath of people who are basically human targets. And if they go out at a certain time, they could get got. And it's not one Democrat city. It's a whole bunch of them. What this kid's life is like in Washington, D.C. is probably the same quality of life of people in Baltimore and the same quality of life in people in Detroit, and it's probably even worse in Chicago. Nobody cares. You can't convince me that people care because it's been going on way too long.